Little Fox.
The Light Princess. Chapter 12. Something's wrong with the lake. Now, reader, the princess loved the lake with all her heart. She knew where to find its best diving spots. She knew where its tallest banks sat. She knew where all its fish and wild creatures lived. So, of course, Ellen knew at once that the lake was changing. She first noticed it while swimming with the prince. She shot to the surface and looked around.
Something's wrong with the lake.
The prince popped up nearby.
It looks fine to me.
No, the lake is different.
She took off, swimming toward a deeper part of the lake. He swam after her, wondering if she was sick.
Ellen, are you okay?
Ellen didn't reply or look back. Instead, she darted from place to place, checking different spots around the lake. The next day when they met, she was even more upset.
The banks are too dry. The grass and plants are dying.
She pointed to rocks baking in the sun.
Look! Those rocks are usually under the water.
The confused prince tried to comfort her, but she pushed him away.
This is terrible!
She cried.
The lake is losing its water!
Agnes stayed in the cellar for 7 days and 7 nights. Finally, the water dragon dropped onto the floor. It quickly dried up and turned back to seaweed. The witch grabbed the seaweed and looked up. Water was beginning to drip from the stone.
The spell worked,
she cried. Soon lake water would be rushing into her cellars. She had to get back upstairs, fast. The next day, Agnes checked the lake. Most of its water was gone, but here and there were a few shallow pools. Agnes frowned.
The spell is taking too long.
That night, Agnes went back to the lake. She walked all around, sprinkling her potion everywhere. She even tossed some into the air at the princess's window. An instant later, the kingdom's rivers and brooks stopped flowing. Water no longer rushed down its mountains. Fountains and wells went dry. Even babies' tears dried up. At the lake, the last bit of water was finally gone. The Light Princess. Chapter 13. Like a Cork? The princess closed her bedroom curtains. She couldn't bear to look at the lake anymore. All that was left was mud and rocks. In the brown muck, eels crawled around and fishes flopped. At first, Ellen's parents thought she might cry. But no tears flowed. Instead, the princess locked herself away. Under the witch's spell, she forgot about the prince. She forgot about everyone, even her parents. The palace no longer rang with the sound of her laughter. For a while, the prince kept going to the lake. Finally, he realized something.
Ellen is never coming back.
He thought.
I must find out if she's okay.
The prince dressed like a servant. Then he went to the palace, pretending to work there. While he shined boots, he asked other servants about Ellen. They all said the same thing.
The princess is dying.
His heart sunk. He had to save her. But how?
I'll go away to think of a plan.
He decided. The king and queen didn't know what to do either. As usual, the king was growing impatient. "Let's send for Cop and Hum," the queen said. "Perhaps they can explain why the lake went dry. Then we can fix it." Cop and Hum studied the lake bed. They discussed the dry rivers and fountains and babies' tears. But they couldn't figure out the cause of the problem. One afternoon, a boy came to see the queen and king. He was carrying a golden plate.
I found this in the muddy lake bed, Your Majesties. I think it has a clue about the lake.
What?
The king took the plate. It was covered with writing.
There's a long poem.
He said.
It tells of a magical way to fill the lake.
How? The queen cried.
There's a hole in the lake bed.
The king explained.
A human must climb into that hole to plug it up.
Like a cork? The queen asked.
Yes!
The king said.
This person must give his life.
He looked at his wife sadly.
Where will we find a brave hero like that?
The Light Princess. Chapter 14. Who will volunteer? The queen wanted the king to make a proclamation. So he told everyone in the kingdom about the gold plate.
A human must climb into that hole to plug it up. We need a brave hero to save the princess,
he said.
Who will volunteer?
But no one stepped forward. As time went on, the princess grew sicker. At last, the prince returned. When he heard the proclamation, his heart leaped.
Finally! Something I can do!
He thought.
I'll lose my life. But without the princess, I have no life. And I will see her one last time before I die.
The prince dressed like a servant again. Then he hurried to the palace. The king stared at the handsome servant before him.
Tell me what you want, young man.
I want to be the cork,
The prince said. The king gasped.
What? You'll be the hero?
Yes. I will give my life to return water to the lake.
The prince said.
That's wonderful!
The king said.
Would you like to go and see your parents first?
No,
the prince said.
but I do have one condition.
Anything?
The king said.
I'll climb into the hole.
The prince began.
Then, by magic, water will return to the lake. When it reaches my head, I will drown.
The king looked down.
I'm afraid so, yes.
It will be a long wait.
The prince went on.
Yes.
The king bit his lip.
Waiting is hard, but with you as cork, the lake will never leak again.
I want the princess to sit with me.
The prince went on.
She can feed me. She can look at me now and then to comfort me. When the water reaches my eyes, she may go.
I will grant your condition.
The king said.
Now go and prepare yourself. My guards will search for the hole.
It took the guards a long time to find the hole. But they finally found it in the center of the lake bed. It was in the middle of a large stone. The guards hurried back to tell the king. It was time to save the lake and the princess.